Greetings, everybody. Dave DeWalt here, founder and CEO of NightDragon. We're coming to you live from the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center here in San Francisco at the RSA Cybersecurity Conference, the largest cybersecurity conference in the world. And today I get to do some really fun things. I'm partnered with NASDAQ on a CEO series, and we are getting an opportunity to talk to 11 of the hottest cybersecurity companies in the world. And as a former CEO, this is really fun for me because I get to interview other CEOs and have a little fun with this as well. My guest today is Ted Bailey, and this is a company that you need to hear about called Dataminr. Dataminr, in my opinion, is one of the most innovative AI companies I've ever seen. And I mean that with all seriousness. Incredible company and incredible things that they do in the world of threat intelligence, both physical and cyber. So Ted, oh my gosh, so much to have you here. Thank you for coming in.
Absolutely.
And I was super excited to chat with you. You might be the smartest CEO that I have here too, but I'm not judging the others. But listen, congratulations building Dataminr. First of all, I know you founded it in 2009, so you've been at it. The company has raised almost $1 billion of capital, valued at over $4 billion of market value, and has some of the most important customers and partners in the world. Tell everybody just for a minute, what does Dataminr do in your words?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, even though we were founded in 2009, this is actually my first time at RSA, as the company is actually new to the world of cyber. You know, we, for the last almost decade, have built the world's leading AI platform that integrates now nearly 1 million different public data sources to detect events, threats, critical information long before any other source. First and foremost, we gained adoption across the government, and that ranged from defense organizations where we had force protection across the world to local law enforcement. But more recently, we gained traction across the corporate market where essentially chief security officers were using our product. And what we found was that organically, chief information security officers were being pulled into the programs of chief security officers, which led us to build a cyber product, and is why I'm here, bringing Dataminr's AI platform now to the world of cyber.
Well, welcome to the RSA conference. This is my 20th one, so
yes.
You're first, so you'll have 20 more to go.
Okay, well in 20, I'll have to mention, I was there when Dave was at his 20th.
Ted, you talk about 1 million data sources coming in. I mean, just to hear that, 1 million data sources coming in, and then being able to digest that data at speeds that require for these type of events.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about what I think is the coolest word, multimodal fusion AI. You got to get this one, multimodal fusion AI. What is that, and what's at the core of Dataminr's product?
Well, Dataminr's platform performs trillions of daily computations on billions of individual public data units coming from, as I said before, millions of distinct public data sources. And that computation is something that is done by, as you mentioned it, our multimodal platform. And we've pioneered a field of AI called multimodal fusion AI. Now, if you think about the world's data, you think about many different formats: text, image, video, sound, sensors spitting out numerical streams. What multimodal fusion AI can do is not only take in data sources of all those various different formats and process them, but fuse them together into models that allow for the cross-correlation across different types of data sources and different formats. What that allows is just faster detection, more accurate detection, and ultimately better actionable intelligence for our customers.
Boy, I think you hit on the key in the world of cyber: efficacy and speed.
Yeah.
Right. The faster you can respond with the more
Absolutely.
true positive, the better it is. And that's really what you've been pioneering. Talk a little bit about your announcements this week. I know you've had 2 major announcements. One I thought was very interesting, which is around a coalition. And the second about a product. Will you talk about those two?
Yeah, well, back to where I started, this is our entrance into the cyber world. And there were 2 announcements we made last week which made it official. We launched our cyber product, Dataminr Pulse for Cyber Risk, and we launched the Cyber Physical A2I Coalition, which I am personally, and I'm glad to hear you are, thrilled about. This is a coalition where we were fortunate to have really some of the best and leading cyber companies join us to tackle cyber physical convergence. And that is Mandiant, and that is ServiceNow, and that is Clarity, and that is Optiv. And this is just the beginning of a coalition that we plan to expand and bring in leaders in cyber to essentially, as I like to say, go from AI to AI, to leverage artificial intelligence to produce actionable intelligence for our customers. And this coalition and the members are committed to building joint products and to really tackling this cyber-physical convergence area for the CISO in a way that's never been done before.
Talk about cyber-physical convergence, and you and I have done this a little bit for a while. I've been trying to educate the cyber world to what I see as a really big problem emerging, both physical threats manifesting in digital, response problems, and then cyber and digital coming into physical. Give a couple of use cases, if you would, just so the audience hears that.
Sure, Dave, cyber-physical convergence has been such an interesting thing to be a part of and to see first, arise organically. It's really twofold in the sense that it's organizational, it's functional. The chief security officer and the chief information security officer and their apparatuses are coming together physically to essentially respond together as two groups in tandem. But it's also informational. And as you mentioned, cyber physical from a threat perspective is multidirectional. You have physical events, which can ultimately ripple onto the cyber world, and you have cyber incidents, which can have tremendous and catastrophic impact on the physical world. And I will give a couple examples. Yeah. So, for example, a very famous example, a Colonial Pipeline attack, which just really helps illustrate cyber-physical convergence. Here you had a ransomware attack, shut down a major pipeline across the East Coast, and ultimately what we were able to detect were the many physical world ripple effects of that. Ultimately the operators, sensing the fuel, disruptions and starting to post these messages online, and then ultimately the ripple effects on from that, shortages at the airport, flights being canceled. An example of a cyber attack with physical world ripple effects, but it can go the other way. For example, when Ukraine was invaded by Russia, the moment that happened, that first indication that ultimately, Russia crossed the border was a very valuable signal to the Chief Information Security Officer community to go shields up. You never know when geopolitical crisis can come concurrent with cyber activity and cyber warfare. But it doesn't have to be something as profound as, a nation-state conflict. Even a small localized fire could be happening, outside. If that's near an IT facility, if that's near an OT asset or some IoT infrastructure, that also could pose an extremely significant cyber risk. So really, cyber-physical convergence is multi-directional, and our capability tries to tackle that from both sides.
I really believe, Ted, you're right on. There's so many use cases of cyber and physical, and most people don't realize it in the cyber world how important it is to have a physical threat alert that could have a response and vice versa. One of them that I was really intrigued about too, potentially, was just vulnerabilities.
Yes.
And you have so many data feeds coming in, you can even start to track vulnerabilities and the trending of those vulnerabilities, potentially how they're being used, right?
Absolutely. Well, look, cyber-physical attack has a life cycle, and it starts with a vulnerability, and then that vulnerability is exploited. And ultimately, what we found in the data sources that we've been able to take in is that detecting vulnerabilities early and prioritizing them and ultimately finding trending vulnerabilities is something that our AI platform can do very well. For example, we were able to detect Log4j early when it first got out, when there were first researchers seeing the vulnerability. And that's a really powerful example of how out there on the external surface of the internet, you can get some of the fastest, most actionable intelligence about vulnerabilities.
So fun watching you work, Ted. What's next for Dataminr? What do you see coming? I know We're here at the NASDAQ world. I'm assuming you're heading towards the next phase of the company. I mean, what's the road to 500 million look like? Obviously, execute in the world of cyber now. You've executed well in the physical world, starting to go international, work with governments. Like, how do you think about the road to 500 million or more?
Yeah, well, I mean, 500, is it 500 billion? But, ultimately, Dataminr is a company which, intends to go public, and we are excited to continue to grow our business, both the government and the corporate market. I think, as you mentioned, coming out of the government space and the physical security space, and now the cyber space, we diversified our portfolio. We continue to expand across the corporate market, from business intelligence to supply chain to insurance, and continue to diversify. It's frankly what we've found is, when it comes to detecting the world at large and what's happening in physical incidents, believe it or not, there are a lot of use cases for such a thing.
Absolutely.
So, we continue to allow our platform to power a number of different use cases and verticals and find success. And I look forward to this logo being a bigger part of our world in the future.
Ted, thank you. I'm a user of Dataminr for the record as well. I have it on my phone, and every day it scares me. So
it's my goal in life to scare him.
Take a look, folks,
Takes a lot.
ladies and gentlemen, at Dataminr, one of the most interesting, innovative companies I've ever seen, and probably one of the most powerful market value companies coming as well. Ted Bailey, thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate it, and good luck with the conference this week. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.